Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. This is episode 214. I'm Mike Mylan, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is my friend, my partner, and my podcast partner. It is Blaine Birch, the CEO of Dry Run, the best forecasting software on the planet. What's up, man?
First episode of the year when I'm down south here, so or at least in the last actually like it's been months and months and months and months. So I got a new background for this week if you're watching on YouTube, and excited to be here and wearing shorts.
Hey, me too, right? Isn't that great? Like shorts. People, all right, so Sandy, I was on a Zoom call and I shared my entire desktop. I recommend to people don't do that if you do bad things on your computer. but I don't, so I don't really care. I share my whole desktop. So she saw in the corner, I have the weather app, right, on a Mac, and it said 89 degrees. And this was like last week. She goes, 89 degrees. She's in New Jersey. And apparently it's not 89 degrees in New Jersey. So she couldn't believe it. I said, oh, yeah, it's been 80s like on Christmas. I mean, I'm in shorts. I mean, I wear a sweatshirt in the morning sometimes. That's about it.
Yeah,
that's about it.
We just had a meeting with someone from the Northeast just earlier this afternoon. I swear he had a winter jacket on inside, and I'm just like, oh, this is great. I'm just toasty warm. I'm probably too warm, actually.
People come visit us, right? Come visit us in Texas, and it'll be like 90 degrees outside. And I'm like, oh, hey, we're going to dinner. Grab a jacket. They go, what? It's 90 degrees. I'm like, you're going to want a jacket. I don't know what it is.
The sun goes down.
Well, no. Every restaurant keeps it at like, we'll say 65 or 70, and you're cold. If you just go in T-shirt and shorts, you actually get cold in the restaurant. So you need a jacket on just to eat.
We were on a patio at a brewery yesterday. Okay. So we went to get groceries. We ended up at a brewery and then at this German restaurant, never got groceries. Which somehow is typical, but they had the misters going because it was so warm outside. And I swear we were sitting out there under the misters, and I just went, I'm a little cold, as we went and sat in the sun. It's like, oh yeah, we're not quite acclimatized yet. Like, I need some heat here, guys.
All right. So if you're just tuning in, you're like going, hey, somebody told me to listen to Mike and Blaine, Business, Beer, and BS. What happened? That's you got a little bit of BS right up front. So normally what we do is we start to show off by talking about our beer sponsors, right? So every show we have some beer sponsors. So what are you drinking? Let me start off with you this week.
Okay. So I was looking at my fridge. I didn't have much. All of them were strong, but I love this brewery. So I really wanted to feature them this year or this week. And it's Hubbard's Cave. I don't get these in Canada, and I love it. It's Vanilla Skyline, and it's an Imperial Stout, 12%. I'm sharing it because it's awfully heavy. Delicious beer. Hubbard's Cave has amazing beer. I don't know where they're from, actually. I should look, because
I think, didn't I have one time? Or did you? I think I had one.
Yeah, didn't you call me from Hubbard's Cave one time? Where was that?
I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it. I called you from the place. I'm like, hey, remember Hubbard's Cave that you told me about? There it is.
Yeah, so I wanted to feature them again today. So Vanilla Skyline. So yeah, that's what I got going. How about you?
So not too long ago, there was a football game between Texas and Oklahoma. They call it the Red River Rivalry, right? So I went across the Red River and got an Oklahoma beer from Prairie Artisan Ales. You probably heard of them.
Prairie. Oh, yeah.
Prairie. They're open Oklahoma City, right? And they have a whole host of them. They have, I think, a bunch of different breweries brew stuff for them. But it's called, and Jeff picked it out. He saw it. He says, you need this one. And this is for you. It's called America, y'all. Because welcome home, Blaine. Welcome home.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice to be in our southern home. Prairie Artisan Ales. I'm glad you mentioned them. Now I'm just sort of craving a Prairie Bomb. And I don't know if you've ever had their Prairie Bomb is one of their most famous beers. It's an Imperial Stout, and it has vanilla, chili, So it's got that little bit of bite to it, chocolate and coffee. It's got all four, and it's a really nice balance, a delicious beer. They've got some nice imperial stouts, those guys.
Hey, speaking of those remember he's got a pumpkin spice stout, another beer sponsor, neighbor Pat down the road. He's busy. I'm tell you what, his daughter's a freshman in high school. She's in the band. She's a starter on the varsity water polo team.
Oh,
Think
cool.
about that. I mean, big time, right? I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, you come right into high school, you're starting varsity in water polo.
Yeah.
But October is probably the worst month for band parents because you are always doing something, preparing for contest after contest after contest. And they take it seriously down here, right? They take it seriously, marching band in Texas, you know. So not only do you got to do football games, you got to do contests on Saturdays. Every weekend is jam packed from October to December, and it's just craziness. So I know I lived it. So I feel for Pat right now.
So Pat, maybe you could ask your daughter for some lessons on bags, because if she's playing water polo, she can chuck. So maybe she could just do a little coaching for you and help you.
Did we just reverse roles? Because here I am giving Pat like some credit, and you're like bagging him. You're dogging on him.
I know I feel a little bad, but I'm like, that's a mush ball, and Mike's not taking it, so I'm gonna grab it.
I'm like, that's pretty good. I mean, that's an easy one to do. Jeff has seen how bad Pat is in bags. Absolutely, right, Jeff? Yeah, Jeff has seen. Jeff's in the office. If you're like, who the hell's Jeff now? I know Chad. I know Chelsea. Who's Jeff? Jeff's actually a person that's sitting right here next to me. He's my marketing guy.
Real life person.
He was here and saw me put a whooping, just an ass whipping right on Pat in bags. So, I mean, that's just part of life.
Yeah. So maybe some remedial help would.
I mean, Charlie Brown will not kick a football, and Pat will not win a game of bags.
All right. So let's, sorry, Pat, but we're just going to move on here. So, hey, so if you, another one of our valuable sponsors, Rachel Barnett from Gentle Frog, if you have a business you're using QBO, go to her YouTube channel at Gentle Frog or gentlefrog.com, and she will show you everything you need to know to use QBO. So thanks again, Rachel. Appreciate it.
Yep. And one of our cash flow advisors up in Michigan, Karen Harrison, she is an Amazon bestseller. Her book, Stop Growing Broke, Start Growing Profit, is available for sale right now on Amazon. Just go check it out. Karen Harrison through 3S Smart Consulting. 3S Smart Consulting out of Michigan. Go check her out.
And finally, Larry Weinstein, the cash flow cowboy in Houston, Texas. If you need a CPA, you got to go talk with Larry, because he's going to get you all straightened out. So thanks again, Larry. Another one of our sponsors all the way through the end of the year. So really, really appreciate it.
Free plug for Robison Inc. JeffreyRobertson.com. He is the marketing genius. I have not advertised in a year since I added Jeff. Think about that. And we've grown this year, and I haven't did $1 of advertising. I've did other things. I've done a lot of podcasts. I've done, a lot of blogs, a lot of speaking engagements, no advertisement. So this guy can dissect a business. Go to JeffreyRobertson.com. Go check out his business.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks,
He
Jeff.
was a beer. He was. You hear that? I was a beer sponsor. Was.
Free plug, Jeff. You get a free plug from
Get your
Mike.
credit card out, Jeff. Get your credit card out.
All right. So that's this dives right into our topic of mastering communication.
Yeah. How to deal with people.
How to deal with people. Jeff, get out your credit card.
Yeah. So don't make fun of people right to their face like I do. Don't do that. That's not very good. I mean, these are friends. But here's the thing. People are hard, right? I mean, if you look at all of us, right, just all of us across the world, your city, your neighborhood, we're different just on the same street. In order to succeed in life, you got to be able to get along with a lot of people, right? So one of the things that I've been preaching at, one of my clients' businesses this week is we have to learn how to be a chameleon, and not just with our external customers, our internal customers. What I mean is our coworkers, our colleagues, right? So being a chameleon doesn't mean you lie or hide who you are. It's about matching the style of the other person, right? So you have a better conversation. So that's what I want to
Mhm.
talk about today is, how to really have a better conversation with other people, either navigate conflict, navigate sales, navigate just work relationships. It doesn't matter. I want to talk about that today because there's been a lot of folks, especially with these midterm elections and everything you see on TV and protests and that. I wanted to talk about just how do we get along, right?
Mhm.
How do we get along? What do you think about that? I mean, you're
Well,
Canadian. You guys get along with everybody.
you would think Canadians
Except
are
for what is it? Elbows. What was the thing that was the thing? The elbows.
elbows up. Yeah, it's Canadians are the most passive aggressive group on the planet. So other Canadians know when they're being assholes, but a lot of other people don't. So you never really know. But okay, I like what you said there about being a chameleon, where it's not about being fake or anything like that. It's what it's more about is finding common ground and making them sort of comfortable and you being comfortable with them because it's relatable. And when you're talking with other people, there's almost always you can find something that's interesting, some sort of common ground, and you can feed off of them, right? So if they're, it's about making them comfortable and being able to have a conversation, not imposing your will, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Well, in a lot of my seminars, right, I'll kind of go through this with folks and people like going are always confused, like going, wait a second, you're the math guy. Like going, trust me, if you can't have a conversation about math, then the math doesn't matter, right? So what I try to do is I get people to understand that you and the other person are a team. The numbers are the bad guy. Right.
Yeah.
If there's going to be a problem, it's that person's problem, which is the piece of paper. And you and I are a team, and we're talking to that. The numbers, right?
Mhm.
But to get there, I can't just start with that because it's too nebulous. And when I say that to people, like, well, what do you mean the numbers are the bad guy? So, well, let's just talk about us. Let's just talk about people first. And when I talk about people first, I'm talking about here's the question I ask folks, and it's the hardest damn question to answer in the world, I think. And that's, hey, do you have a best friend? And everybody, 100 people in the room, 100 hands will shoot up. Yes, I got a best friend. And then I say, why is that person your best friend? And everybody goes, oh, it's a hard question to answer. Like, why that one? Like, I don't know. I found that one. That's my person right there. But why is that your person? And I've come down to think that it's mainly because you like the way you talk to each other. There's a style that you tend to fall into. I think one of the reasons why you and I became friends so fast is that our style of talking to each other just kind of blends. It's like a mix
Mhm.
of like easy to conversate on
Yeah.
any topic. I mean, every week we have zero advanced knowledge of what we're going to talk about, and we could talk for an hour.
Yeah.
That is something that a lot of people miss out on in their life. So that's where it starts. I mean, what do you think about that? Who's your best friend and why?
We both well, I'm on a call with him right now. We both cherish lack of planning and preparation, apparently. This is where it always starts. No, but it is true how communication for if I think of a bunch of my closest friends, it's it's not even often as much of we have sometimes there's certain things in common and things like that that are kind of the anchor point. But really, like you said, is that communication. It's being able to sit down and just chat and you have a connection and you can communicate with each other. It's just so important. And I know like you've met people before as I have where I just can't crack them. Like we're on two different wavelengths and we're never going to figure out how to not be on two different wavelengths. And as much as you might like the person and appreciate them and, admire them, it's like, yeah, that's not someone I'm going to go for a beer with. And then there's other people that no matter what, you could literally, I got introduced to a guy, just a long story through someone that was on one of my other podcasts actually introduced me to one of his, relatives that happen to live in our area. And he said, you got to connect with him. And I'd never met this guy before in my life, did not know who he was. We went, sat in a bar, had a beer, and started chatting. And you're 2 seconds in, you're like, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna be able to talk with this guy for an hour. And we were there for a couple hours, and you could just tell like there was just this connection. But it's all about communication. If you can't communicate and you're not comfortable, it's just gonna fall flat, right?
A- And it happens within milliseconds.
Mhm.
Here's the story I tell people about, like, what do you mean it happens in milliseconds? I said, have you ever went car shopping? Like, you just pull up in a lot. Guess what? There's people looking out the window at you. As soon as you park the car, they're running towards the door, like going,
Yep.
and before you say anything or whatever, you're already on guard anyway. You're already on the defense. Like, oh, I know this is going to be contentious. If I want this car, I got to deal with whoever comes out that door. Well,
Yep.
whoever comes out that door, if they were a great car salesman, they would try to match the energy that they see, right? That's
Mhm.
the chameleon part. But instead, they'll come up as them, whoever they are. And I've
Yep.
felt it. Like, sometimes it's like, ooh, that guy's extra. He's a little bit like, I'm an extrovert. That's an extraterrestrial vert. Like he's way out of this world. Like, I don't want to deal with it. And they kind of scare you. Like, oh, wait a second. Hey, slow down, man. Slow down. Just back down. That's what I'm talking about. That first thing, if you match somebody's energy right off the bat, you're more likely to be successful in a conversation than not. And that's
Yes.
why I think best friends work.
Yeah. It's I'll even push that further. I'm gonna give a little example because I had to do I don't know how many calls this week where I was on customer support lines. And when I get on these customer support lines, I'm just like, they're, come on, it's hi, are you, friendly. And I'm just the same way. I'm like, well, here's the problem I got and all of that. And this basically meeting them and having this conversation and just conversing with them. The first call I was on, she was transferring me to another line after we had been on the call for, 5 minutes. And then she literally said, thank you for being so nice. You're the first person today and I'm just like, I was just having a conversation, but that's what they put up with all day. Right. And even though I'm dealing with kind of pain in the ass stuff, I is just talking with them about getting something solved. And it's amazing how far they went in each case to solve the problem. And I never had to do anything but just have a nice conversation with them. And I think it was a little bit of meeting them where they're at, treating them like they were treating me. And and that stood out for them. And 3 times they went out of their way to help me.
Yeah, there's so much to that, right? You got to realize that person on the other line, not only does their job kind of suck because they got to deal with that all day long,
Yeah.
but they also become trained professionals at that type of conversation.
Yep.
Right. Which means they're really good at deflection, at bringing people down, those type of things. Just like when I was a state trooper, right? You got to realize that when you're a state trooper, you have that conversation 10 or 12 or 20 times a day, right? With that, whoever. You're not going to outmaneuver a state trooper in a conversation that's conflict. You're just not. They do it 10 or 12 times a day. You might do it one time in your life with a state trooper, right? It's one of those things, right? It's just like it, and believe it or not, I'm not a small type of person, but in the highway patrol, I think I was on the very low end of the scale of how big people are.
Yeah.
So I was considered a small state trooper in Missouri, right? Like, I think I just barely made. At that point in time, we had a height minimum, and it was 6 foot. If you weren't 6 foot or taller,
Wow.
you couldn't be a state trooper. Dude, I'm right at the limit.
Brush that hair up a little bit. And stand on your tippy toes.
I'm not getting in. If it's a year, anyway. But here's the thing. We had guys that were 6'6", 6'7", 6'5". I mean, all these. I'm considered small at that point in time as a state trooper. Well, what happens is that most people are going, "Oh, I think I can whip the little one." Right? Am I going? Wait a second. You're thinking about this the wrong way. Everybody thinks they can whip the little one. I probably fight 10 times more than the big one. I probably do this a lot more than you do, right? Because we have to do it all the time. Matter of fact, what was funny is that I was on the CERT team, right? CERT is like SWAT, it's Special Emergency Response Team, and we would do hostage situations and things like that. We had a guy that was 6'7". Matter of fact, he was so tall, they had to take his seat out of the patrol car and bolt it back to a different place. Nobody else could use his car for anything because you couldn't reach the pedals. So one time, there was 2 stories I could tell about the guy. One time there was this guy that just wouldn't get out of his semi truck. And you know how tall semi trucks are, He goes over and just starts talking to him. And the guy's yelling at him out the window, says, and furthermore, I want you to get your ass off the side of my truck. I don't want you standing on my truck. The guy looks at him and says, I'm not. he was standing on the ground looking in, where I would have had to get up on the truck to look in. No, he was standing on the ground just looking at him. Another time, to be funny, he yells at a guy that we have kind of pinned down. He goes, hey, you better come out because I'm one of the little ones.
Nice.
He's like 6'7". He's a bodybuilder, right? This guy goes to bodybuilding competitions. Think about a 6'7" bodybuilder.
Yeah.
First of all, whoever fights him? I don't think he got in one fight his whole life. Who fights him? The 6 foot, 200-pound guy. Guess who fights him? Everybody. Like, here's a regular dude. So it says every Friday night. I call it Friday night fight night.
But I think the other side of that is, no matter how big the person, I'm sure those communication skills and all that training is probably that's what kept you out of trouble most of the time, eh?
You know what? I mean, it's like that new book I wrote, right? Don't Tell Me What to Do. The basis of that started, right? The whole foundation of me being able to talk to people on the side of the road was, my philosophy is, I would rather talk to you for 30 minutes than fight you for 3. Because if you've ever been in a 3-minute fight, it's a long time, right? It just seems like it goes on forever. Well, 30 minutes, we use this technique called verbal judo, right? Verbal judo is really about de-escalation. It's about deflection. You use words like, hey, I understand that, but I appreciate that, but, right? It's stuff like that. If you notice the pattern there is, I understand that, which means, hey, I'm listening to you. I'm here, but you're still going to jail, or something like that. It's not that harsh, but you kind of get the gist. The verbal judo is about moving a person back to a de-escalated situation.
Mm-hmm. I think it's what came to mind when you were talking about this. It got me totally sidetracked, because I remember this was 30 years ago. Maybe not quite 30, 25 years ago. We had a client, and it was in government, and it was an awful client. It was just the one, I think out of my entire career, it was one of the clients we actually ended up firing. But what bothered me is, we were going and we were trying to resolve a problem with these guys because the scope creep was beyond belief. And he was doing that active listening on me. And I got to tell you, it is infuriating.
It's annoying.
And he's like, I hear you're saying this. And I'm like, he's not solving it. He's not solving it. And finally, I don't remember my exact words, but because as much as I like to just talk with people on the same, and I'm much better now just keeping a really level head, I don't shy away from confrontation. It doesn't bother me. And at some point I said something along the lines of, and if you do any more active listening with me, I'm going to, I don't remember what I said, but I shut it down, because I was like, you're not coming up with an answer. You're just repeating the same bullshit back. You're repeating my question back to me. I hear you say this. Yeah. Give me an answer. Yeah. It got so infuriating. So it was one of my, I think he'd been trained in it, but I'm like, you got to answer at some point. So that was one of my,
that's like scripted. That's like scripted conversations, and I hate those too. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's this one, I don't know how I pick up on it every time, but there's this thing called Sandler training, right? Sandler sales training, and it's like a specific script. And as soon as I hear people do it, I get pissed. I'm like, hey, don't be using that Sandler shit on me. I'm like, I'm just a regular person. Because it starts out, all of them start out this way. They got this acronym called ATON, ATON. And it's like, what the agenda is, how much time we got. Then the ON, right? So ATON is obviously and naturally. So when I see those things in the same order, I'm like, don't be doing that shit with me, right? Because I don't like it, because I know exactly what he's going to do next. Well, obviously and naturally are, hey, obviously you're going to have some questions for me and what I do and things like that. And naturally, I'm going to have some questions for you as well. And it sounds like regular conversation, but when you've heard it like 16 times from every person that you ever talk to, you're like going, no, talk to me like I'm a person. Don't be scripting me like that, because I don't play that game.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point, because especially now, I think more than ever, there's a lot of systems, and you have to be able to learn from it and understand it, but the system should never be, it should not guide a conversation. Like it should not be a script in a conversation. I just don't, the outline makes sense. But if you feel like you're reading a script, it's almost like you're going to come off like you're trying to sell a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, exactly right. So I mean, and I teach, I teach a process, right?
No, but you teach the process and how you train them how to do something and why. Not, you don't say, just follow this script and you'll be fine. And you don't need to know anything about it. Just say it. I don't think that. Or maybe do you? I don't. Maybe you do.
No. It's I don't want to put words. I tell them what I do, but I don't want. It has to be natural. Not everybody can get away with, hey, what's going on in your world, or tell me what's happening in your place. I mean, not everybody can get away with the same type of casualness that I have, because it's not them, and they feel weird like it. Because some people are more polished, some people are more formal. I'm a lot more casual, right? That's just my style. But I'll tell them and I'll give them examples of the things I've said. Like even like the same technique, I'll use two different types of questions. Like one would be, hey, what's going on in your world? It's called clear the noise. Clear the noise is just letting somebody, whatever's on their mind. Everybody that comes to a meeting has something on their mind. Let's just get it all on the table right off the bat. Because then we can get to the real meat of the meeting. So that's one way. If I'm already working with you, hey, what's going on in your world? What's happening? It's been a week or so since I talked to you. The other one is, if you're brand new and this is a sales conversation, I won't say something like, what's going on in your world? What I'll say is, hey, what made you want to take this meeting? Right? How'd you think I could help? It's the same question. It's just open-ended enough to let them talk up front and get it off their back. Somebody's ringing the doorbell, so Jeff was going to check on it, I guess.
Thanks, Jeff.
So, thanks, Jeff. Jeff's the best in the business.
but if you were talking to me about you're trying to say, okay, here's the outcomes, here's what you want to do, but if I went in and I wouldn't use those words, it would have to be something that makes sense to me, I'm comfortable with. I might even start to use the same sort of phrase every time. Like, you're not like reinventing the wheel. It's, like you get comfortable. Like, I'm sure in my sales demos and that, I'm probably like, hey, tell me about your business, or, probably said it's because you do it every other day or every day, 10 times.
Exactly right.
You get used to it, right? But you got to figure out what works for you.
Like you're reading a script. You're not memorizing something and doing it.
Exactly.
My techniques are, I do clear the noise. And if I can't find the burning issue, which is the problem they're having, I'll move to the explorer, which is just a different way to ask the questions, which is like, tell me more about that. Or can you say that differently? I do have a planned conversation, but it's not scripted.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you and I planned for a meeting, for, let's say, a sales call or something, we planned, we had kind of an outcomes, like, here's, and then we have outlines for our different, like for our sales calls or demos, for our needs assessments, we have outlines for all this stuff, because you want to make sure you're staying on point. You're not forgetting something. But if you and I went in and we could have the same sort of outline, the same sort of goals, we need to learn about this, understand this, and communicate this with a prospect or whatever, we would go in and they would have two completely different experiences, because even if we both went in and we're really comfortable with them, but it's the way we talk, mannerisms, how we bounce things off of them, how you crack through. Like, that's one of the things I'm always trying to do, is you're trying to crack a little bit, like, It's not about, I don't just walk in and like, hey, let me tell you a joke. But if there's something that can be a little bit lighthearted, something common ground, something like that, if you can get someone to kind of laugh a little bit, you're like, yeah, okay, you've just taken 10 steps forward, because there's a bit of a personal connection, a bit of an emotional connection. It's not just that wall of show me what you've got, right? But everyone does it in a different way.
Ooh, I have a personal challenge. If you're the type of company out there with a bunch of financial data you can't make sense of, I challenge you to contact Blaine and have him show you a demo of Dry Run. And just see what type of prospect it is, or what type of process he uses. Go check out Dry Run, go on a demo, and force him to say, I heard you on Mike and Blaine. Show me the demo. What would you do if they did that?
Well, first of all, I'm going to learn about you, learn about your business, and then I'm going to walk you through a demo of Dry Run and tell you what we can offer, what kind of value we can bring to your business to help you clarify where you're headed with your management team, so that they can see something, they can understand, they can draw those insights and actually take action in the business. But we're also going to save you a ton of time and bring a much higher level of accuracy to your forecast. Now, the biggest thing I want to mention, though, is the more complicated your business, probably the more value we can offer. So if you're coming in and you've got multiple entities, you've got multiple locations, you've got multiple currencies you're dealing with, a bunch of people are all dealing with this, and you got to figure out your cash flow and where you're headed, that's where we can really help. So if you are head of a finance team or on a finance team and you guys are buried in spreadsheets, to deal with your cash flow, deal with your scenario modeling, deal with your forecasting, just come and visit us at dryrun.com, and we would love to demo it for you. And you can tell Mike how good or how bad our demo is.
There you go. Hey, and there's probably some of you listen to this this podcast and says, that sounded like it was an ad right in the middle of the conversation. You're right. That was our mid-roll ad, and you and your company could be next. Right? We could talk about you in the same way, blend it right into the conversation, and make you feel like you're a special part of what's happening in our podcast any given day. Contact us at mikeandblaine.com and check out that mid-roll.
Yes, because otherwise you're just going to have to keep hearing Mike and I talk about our businesses completely unscripted and unplanned every time. That's all right.
That was a different segue. That was a whole different. I was like, oh, good here's segue, something different we can try, huh?
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's a good segue. I like your segues. They're always pretty slick.
There you go. All right. So I'm of a firm opinion that people buy people, not products. All right. And ever tell you about my buddy that bought a car up in Seattle when I lived up there?
No.
All right. So where we lived in Bellevue, about 2 miles in any direction, we'll say 3 directions from Bellevue, there was a Ford dealership, and he had a nice car. It was, at the time, the Tesla S500D, whatever. I don't know. I don't even know what they are because I don't have a Tesla. S something D. What are they? I don't know. All right.
I don't know. I just know what they look like.
At the time, it was really nice. And he goes, man, I just don't want to drive this to work every day. I'm going to go get a commuter car. Right. So he wants to get a Ford, what's those little piece of shit cars? What is it? A little car? I don't know. No, it's not a piece of shit car. Sorry. It's just like, I don't know what it is. The reason I say that is because of the nickname he gave it. So he went to all 3 of these dealerships. And believe it or not, he could get the same car for the same price, the same features. Everything was the same. How do you choose who to buy from? If the same product at the same price is at 3 different locations, how do you choose? Well, it's the person you like, believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's 3 Ford dealerships. It's like, I liked Blaine better than Mike, right? So I buy from Blaine. Well, that's what he did. He bought from Blaine. Then the first month he's driving this thing to work, right? Remember, he has a Tesla, but he's driving this thing to work, and he hates it. Just hates his life. He hates sitting in this car. He hates sitting in Seattle traffic in this car. And instead of calling it what it was, he started nicknaming it the Mother Focus. He goes, damn it, I gotta drive that Mother Focus to work. to work again this week. And he just hated the car. And I think he still got it, but he nicknamed it the Mother Focus. And that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in my life about a car. That's why I called it a POS, because he did.
He did.
He started, not me.
I'm still kind of unclear why he would buy a car that he doesn't really like for a commute instead of taking the car that he's sitting in the garage. That's weird to me. But
he was like, he didn't want to. I don't know. It was weird. Some people are like that. They're like, oh, no, that's the car that I want to go to my personal things in. I don't think there were some break-ins and stuff at the, out in Seattle.
Gotcha.
There were some break-ins. There was some vandalism. I think he was trying to protect the Tesla.
I can understand that. Yeah, that's that sort of changes the dynamic a little bit. But like I will say, I think a lot of times it's the final decision point, the final line is the person, right? But I also know that if I'm going to buy a car and one place has the color I want and another place doesn't have the color, or they're the tires I want and they don't have, or an option or something, it's like that's the prereq. They have to have the product. They have to have exactly what I want, what I need. And then it's people. Then it's all people, right?
Yeah, we all kind of do that. I even will pay more for the right person.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting at this new built-in cab. You haven't seen it yet, but it's a Jeff. What do you think? It's nice, right? So it's nice. It was not the lowest bid. I did not buy this on the lowest bid. Why? I like the guy, right? I could have got probably the same exact thing, been just as happy, but I like that guy. And I liked his family, and his son was helping him. And there was a whole story around it, and just his personality jived with mine. So I liked him better.
Yeah. Price is not the top thing for me. Like it rarely is. But it'd be the product first. Can they get exactly what I want as that product? Then it's the person. Price is last. Unless it's outrageous. It's not as important as getting exactly what I'm looking for, solves my problem and everything. And then dealing with people that I like. We've seen it. Like I go to breweries. Oftentimes we end up going back to the same breweries over and over again. And it's like, first of all, they have really good beer, but when it's between one or the other, then it comes all the way down to people. I go back to the same places where the staff, they're so friendly and we really like them and they know us, and that we just keep going back to those same places all the time. It's restaurants, we do the same thing, but they have a really good product. That's the baseline. But then it's the people that bring you back. It's the people that just puts it over the top every time.
Yeah, totally agree. So here's the thing. All right. So have you ever heard of the social styles model? Social styles?
Nope.
Some people, you've heard of DISC. You've heard of like Myers-Briggs. You've heard of like their personality.
I've heard the terms. I don't know enough about them.
All right. So basically the social styles model says that we all have kind of a personality style that we adopt, or that's just us, right? But we're all a different style depending on the situation. And you really don't know until you really just get to be close to somebody and they become comfortable enough to show you. Like the four styles that are predominant are driver, right? A driver personality. You got an expressive personality. You've got an amiable personality, and you've got an analytical personality. And it's all determined by like task, result, and likes people, doesn't like people, or likes relationships and doesn't really care about relationships, right? That's kind of how it divides. And there's 4 quadrants, and we all kind of fall into one of these at some point in time. Well, these social styles models will tell you that if you look at it on the very right side of the graph are drivers and expressive personalities. And on the left side of the graph is amiables and analytical personalities. So think left side, right side. really it matches up with left brain, right brain. Some people get that confused. And when I think about the social styles model, it makes sense to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, left brain people versus right brain people. Well, 80% of business owners tend to be more expressive and driver personalities. Like, hey, I need to get this done, or they're excited and good salesmen, those type of things, expressives. Well, that's a right brain type of person. 80% of like bankers and accountants tend to fall on the other side of the equation, which is more analytical, more amiable. Amiable are like just shy, right? Shy, like kind of reserved, those type of folks.
Yep.
Well, think about that conversation, how hard it is for those two people to really have a conversation and talk.
Yeah.
Because, the business owners are all amped up, like going, hey, I got this great idea. I want to get it off the ground. What can you do to help me? And then the banker goes, I'm going to need to see all your tax returns and your balance sheets and stuff like that. And it goes, hey, don't worry about that, right? But you can see the difference right there between a ramped up, high strung, ready to get shit done type of person, and then the banker that just wants to just check boxes. Like, I need these things to get my job done.
Yeah.
When I say be a chameleon, I want to wrap it back to that, right? This is a call back to the beginning. When I say be a chameleon, what if the banker responded like this to somebody that says, hey, I got this big project. I need it off the ground. I need some money to get it done. And then the banker goes, dude, I've seen you do it before. You've been a great customer of ours. I just need some balance sheets, some tax returns and all that to get it done. When I say be a chameleon, I'm not saying don't do your job. I'm not saying change who you are. I'm saying change the way the energy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of somebody. So that's what I'm talking about. But you have to determine that within the first few seconds of what type of energy is that guy giving me right now, or girl.
Yeah. One that they're so opposite. Like I always say, like a business owner, it's a squirrel with a cowboy hat. Because it's like a cowboy, it's a squirrel. It depends on the day. It is probably not. It's not going to be very reserved generally, and
Yeah. So Jeff has this disc. He does disc, but it's based on birds, right? It's based on birds. Did you hear that? Eagle, parrot, dove, owl.
So DISC.
Here, jump in here and tell him.
Yeah. So DISC, Blaine, is defined on the. Man, I look good on camera. It's defined.
He doesn't look good on camera.
It adds to my accent, Blaine. I don't know.
Speak up.
So on my scale, DISC becomes eagle, parrot, dove, owl. And so it's very relatable to the point where it spoke to old Jeff, and because I didn't understand a lot of those different models. And to speak to what Mike is saying, if you can, and I teach cues to where you can pick up on the first few seconds of interacting. Blaine walks in and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? You're really to the point, to the business. I don't have a lot of time to really engage. I know you're blunt, just so you're probably more D or English. But the whole goal when it's done with the training I do is to be able to communicate with the person you're talking to how they need to be talked to, not how you want to talk to them. And then when you apply it to your teams, Blaine, is you can always have too many D's or Eagles in one area, and then nothing's getting done because they're all alphas, they're all strong-minded, they're all beating their heads. If you got too many I's, or in my world, parrots, they're just sitting around talking. They're not getting anything done because they're talking about everything. So the model helps you balance out your teams as well. So I enjoy talking about it all the time. So,
and
nice.
He said nothing about how to tone down that accent.
It's a Texas microphone.
Yeah, he thinks it's the filter. He thinks it's a Texas filter on here. No, that's Virginia right there. They didn't lose the accent. I don't remember James Madison having a damn accent. Somehow they got one.
Someone made it up. Grew from there.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody moved from Alabama up that way, I guess, and brought it with them. Okay, that was rude, but that was funny. How do you deal with somebody with an accent, Blade?
I don't know. Yeah, you got the strongest accent here, and I'm the one that always gets flack. So I don't know. I don't know how that happens.
Who has the accent? You've got the accent. I don't mispronounce words like progress and process.
Depends what side of the border you're on, I guess. But
Or a boot.
a boot, yeah, it's a boot
A
time.
boot. And sorry. How do you do that? Sorry.
Depends what you're trying to say.
Oh, that's right. You told me that was an insult.
Oh,
Could
it can
be.
be. Oh, well, thank you can actually be an insult too. Like, because it could be like, it could be a thank. A lot of people just polite, thanks, and then thank you. And I'd say, fuck you. There's different types.
That tell you
gotta hear
about
the
how the border
subtleties.
guards. That tell you about how the border guards in Canada switched from English to French, and I knew we were in trouble. Like, oh, we better be quiet. Time to be quiet. We don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah, they can tell. They know. Oh, that sounds like a Texas accent. I don't think they speak French.
Yeah, they got to be careful with that because we're too close to New Orleans, and that French Creole Cajun down there. There's some folks that can pick up on it.
Yeah, never know.
Careful with that you can't judge that one. Can't judge. Now with me, they're like going, that guy doesn't know French.
Yeah,
He's going to know Spanish because he's from San Antonio.
yeah, exactly. He knows cerveza and
Yeah. So what I guess what I was going with the social styles model was being able to pick up pretty instantly, because if you're a driver, right? Somebody is not afraid of conflict, somebody that's not afraid to make quick decisions, just wants things done, and you're working with somebody that is amiable. Amiable is like the person that loves to go to the networking events, but likes to sit kind of in the back or, kind of off to the side, listen, be there, be engaged, but not really engage. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And believe it or not, we're all that way in certain situations. There's probably been times where you could look back and go, I was a little shy in that event because you didn't know anybody. It felt like, it isn't just that you're just this one. We're all of them depending on the situation.
Yeah.
But with an amiable personality, and I'm going to not pick on them, I'm going to talk about them for a second. They just need time, right? They need to trust. It's a trust thing with them. And to me, trust is a mathematical equation. Trust is the evidence of integrity over time. The more often you do what you say you're going to do, or you're in the place you're supposed to be, I trust you, right? Because you're doing the thing. Oh, yeah. Every time he says it, it comes true. So I trust you. And then when an amiable personality, if that's dominant when you meet them, over time, you'll see a different personality because they start to trust you and to become more confident. Right.
Mhm.
And that, yeah.
Well, and that's the number one reason they say build trust. You're not just automatically given or trust, or you don't offer trust immediately. You have to build trust. You build trust through relationship. You build relationship by having some sort of comfortable communication, right? And I understand it helps a little bit to understand the different sort of personality types, but I don't put a lot of stock in that, to be honest, because I think people are better at just intuitively picking up instantly what a person is about, and kind of like working to make them comfortable, because like you said, all four of those quadrants, at some point you're going to be in one of those quadrants. You might live in one of them way more often than the others, but it depends on the circumstances to, make a big difference there too.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. I mean, it's one of those things where, let's go back to trust for a second, because I like what you said about, hey, because it can be broken and it's hard to get back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use one of my daughters as an example, right? When she was 16, 17, you know how you start to give them a little freedom, let them go. Well, we're living in Seattle, and she wants to go over to Ashley's house. Ashley lives a couple blocks away. All right, no worries. I mean, you're 16, 17 years old. Ashley's, we're not on major highways and things like that. Just, yeah, go over to Ashley's. 2 hours later, I get a call that my daughter is in Tacoma, which is about 30 minutes away. I'm like, going, wait a second.
That's not adding up.
How did we get from Ashley's house 2 blocks away to Tacoma 30 minutes away? Right? That's where trust starts to break down because, again, I trusted you to do this, but you didn't communicate that the plan had changed and, nothing bad was happening outside of the fact that I didn't know. So trust was broken. That's how fragile it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how fragile trust is.
Yeah, you build trust and you break it. It's like one quick break and it takes a long time to build. And that's how business is done. Like it's relationships and it's built on trust. That's how all business is done. So it's so incredibly important to, if you're like, you even brought up the networking event. I know when I was 20 some years old, my first business, and I would go to a networking event and you're just like, what do I do here? And you're kind of watching and sitting back and, but you got to do some business. Right.
Yeah.
And so fast forward a bunch of years and I'll walk into any room and sometimes you're totally comfortable. Sometimes you aren't, but I'm going to push. I'm going to execute. I'm going to make sure that I'm not sitting in the back corner, that I'm going up and I'm starting conversations and I'm moving and I'm exiting those conversations and moving on to the next one. Right.
Same way. Right. Casual and Mike. I walk in a room sometimes and I'm going, shit, I don't know anybody here.
Yep.
And it takes me a minute to gather my thoughts. And what type of person do I want to be in a room that I don't know anybody? Because you could also hurt your reputation, right? By being the wrong type of person at the wrong time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'm too aggressive. I'm too boisterous. I'm too crass. I'm too unpolished. You have to kind of fill it out and match the energy of the room, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that takes practice. It's easy to think this, and for those of you out there, especially like you said, we've dealt with a lot of accountants in the past too. And oftentimes they're that personality, they're not as, I think for some of them, it's more of a challenge to be comfortable in a situation like that. And I always say it's some people are obviously more natural at it, but it's a learned skill and everyone can learn it. It's just, you need the reps and you need to go out on a limb and learn from it. You can't just switch on a switch. I think you learn from reps,
Well, the reps is important. And what's funny about that is your gut is really, really tuned in, right? We didn't even talk about that. If it don't feel right, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
There is a built-in mechanism into your body that alerts you to something ain't right. Yeah. And you have to listen to it. You don't have to always agree with it, but you have to listen to it and at least evaluate why you feel that way.
Oh, yeah. I know you've, because I've been at these, meetings before, a dinner meeting or a lunch meeting or something. And it kind of like checking to make sure my wallet's still in my pocket and you're putting in the time, but it's like your gut's going, nope, all day long. This is not a good fit or whatever, right? Like I don't want to work with them, hire them, whatever. It is not the right fit. And you trust your gut with a lot of that.
It's fun. Didn't we talk about that a few episodes back where we said, hey, I already have this much time invested, so I stay longer even though it hurts me? Did we talk about something like that?
We did. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I'm starting to get to the point where I don't do that anymore. I'm like, I cut my loss. I'm like, no, ain't worth it. I'll just take the loss now because the loss only gets worse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Money, emotion, whatever, the loss only gets worse. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just shut it down and find your way out. And like, I don't, I'm not like going to get up in the middle of dinner and walk out, but I've already made a decision that I'm like, this is it. Cut this short and get out,
But I'm not going to tell anybody not to be them. I want them to stick to their knitting. So every time that they're in a conversation, be you and be true to yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. just it's a skill that you work on, and it's subtle,
Hey, this is a fun one. This was fun. It was interesting, right? Because it came about because I've just been having a lot of different conversations with a lot of different people. And so I have to practice this skill every day because even with current clients that are maybe thinking about coming on, prospects, people that don't know me, other people outside of what I'm doing, I have to deal with a lot of different people. Like, I was talking to Jeff today. I'm like, on just some folks, because I got confused and it's because I didn't communicate well. The difference between the old app and this new beta I got out there, some people think they have to pay extra. I go, no, nobody's going to pay extra. It's just the new change. And before I just change it on you, I'm giving you a preview, right? But I didn't communicate that as well as I could have. And that's just a learning lesson to me. But everybody that's approached me has been from confused to mad.
Not fun,
right? So you gotta just you gotta box those people around, like going, okay, how do I deal with the mad person versus the confused person?
Yeah, that's frustrating because it's when that happens, it's not intentional either. And you're like, oh, we did not explain that well, or it's a learning time, and it doesn't seem to matter how long you go. You get better at it, but you always get caught. As soon as you're not paying much attention, it's like, oh, I can see how that happened.
And what happened in my case, and I'm just going to explain it to you now. So I did explain it very well what we were trying to do, but there's always like a peripheral person that either missed the explanation or got invited to the beta project through a friend. Because I said, hey, ask your friends and all that, but they didn't get the explanation of what we were trying to do. So it's like, it's one of those things where you either got to control the group and control the information, or you got to just deal with some of the fluff that comes after it.
Yeah. And I find when there's potential for confusion and things like that, more and more, we really work to try and, I don't like control isn't, I don't like that. We're not trying to control the person. We're trying to put guardrails around the process. Should I say process? Put guardrails around the process so that that we reduce confusion, and you just stick with that clarity, and you make people comfortable and everything else. And it's when there's times where it's like, I know you want to do that, but we've been through this a million times, so I know that's just going to frustrate you, right? And so we try and keep some level of control to make sure that we have their best interest in mind, right? Because if they're happy and they understand, they're more likely to buy and see value.
All right. Hey, welcome back to America. And America, yeah, I think that's what it is. America, y'all.
America, y'all. There we go.
It's America, y'all. Hey, you've been listening to Mike and Blaine. You've had a healthy dose of business, beer, and BS today. If you want to be a part of this, I'm telling you what, it's the best $5 you can ever spend in your business life or your personal life. I don't care. We've talked about Devin before, just about him as a person. So if you got $5 to spare and you want to invest in the future of your either legacy or your business or your product or whatever it is, this is evergreen material that will stay on the internet forever or until they take it down. For $5. I mean, it's $5 an episode. Go to mikeandblaine.com and buy us a beer.
Yeah, buy us a beer. You can even buy multiple episodes. We've had people lots of times buy through the entire year. Feel free. But also, please like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss an episode. We'll be back next week. It's Wednesday today, which is weird. We're usually, if we're streaming live, you're listening, we're usually on Thursday. Wednesday this week, but definitely make sure you subscribe and catch every episode.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.